Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my review for Warhammer 40K Boltgun. If you're enjoying my reviews, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Let's start with the too long didn't watch. Boltgun is a boomer shooter in the same vein as Doom or Quake, with the pixelated art style that will be familiar to anyone who used to play Doom on their ancient PCs. Combat is incredibly fast and fluid, offering a variety of weapons that boom loudly and turn enemies into piles of red goo. But is Boltgun any good? Yes, it is, provided you're looking for a game that captures the same feeling and energy as the old school shooter, while accepting the limitations that comes from recreating that style. While the combat is fun and fast, the levels can be confusing mazes where you're going to be spending as much time trying to figure out where to go as you will be mowing down enemies. There's no such thing as a map or waypoints, and there's very few hints on where you should be going or where you should already have been. If you're looking for a good story set in the 40k universe, you may find Boltgun lacking. Although there is a story, it's very minimal, and doesn't provide much detail or lore about the world you're going to be shooting your way through. Boltgun will run you about 10 to 15 hours depending on the difficulty level you select and how much time you spend looking for secrets, or 100%ing the number of enemies you kill on each map. Overall, Boltgun is a good experience made better by the fact that it's now on Game Pass for both the Xbox and PC. So if the gameplay interests you, check it out now.
Suffer not the heretic to live. While I continue my investigations aboard the Crown, you will be deployed to a habitation zone we lost contact with several cycles ago.
Let's dive into the technical state of Boltgun first. I played it on the Xbox Series X through Game Pass, and the game ran really smooth with high frame rate nearly the whole way through. I say nearly because there were a few times when the game did freeze for a few moments at a time. I'm not 100% sure on the reason why, but I think it's when the game was loading the remaining parts of the level as I was running through it, because it never happened when I was in the middle of combat, but always when I was running to the next area. Graphically, Boltgun lacks any graphic options or performance modes. You're going to be treated with pixelated graphics reminiscent of Doom, Quake, or Duke Nukem 3D. Enemies and items are 2D objects placed in the 3D world that turn and twist as you move around them, always presenting their full face of the image no matter which direction you approach them from. It looks and runs good with plenty of pixelated effects from the weapons and plumes of blood and gore that should satisfy anyone who wants that true boomer shooter experience. So what is a boomer shooter? Well, it's a title for the old school first-person shooter, first popularized by games like Doom and later Quake. Boltgun is clearly a homage to Doom, with its level designs, weapons, artwork, and structure being so similar to Doom's that it could almost be forgiven for being a fan-made mod for Doom. But I found it actually more like Quake, with the way the weapons are held and function, as well as the verticality of the levels. A lot of Boltgun's levels are very long and expansive, with them either continuing up into the sky or down into the depths of the world. You move with insane speed through these levels, working your way through corridors or spaces filled with enemies, often in search of keys to certain colored doors. Helping you cut your way through the hordes of enemies are a variety of weapons, each with a unique firing pattern, and all coming from the world of Warhammer 40k. You have the bolt gun, the standard weapon for a space marine, the heavy bolter that fires without reloading but just chews through ammo, a shotgun that has a spread fire pattern, and a heavy plasma rifle that is perfect for bosses. Each enemy in the game comes from the lore of Warhammer 40k. By the grace of the Emperor, you have been charged by the Inquisition to purge the heretics and Xenos from this world. You're going to kill humanoid heretics, monstrous demons, and large Xenos. The enemies have an armor value that matches the power of your weapons. Your bolt gun, for example, is a 5 strength weapon and only does its max damage to enemies with an armor value of 5 or less. The shotgun's only a 3 power, making it weak against armored enemies. Boltgun comes in 4 different difficulties. Now let me tell you, when it gets to the harder difficulties, the armor value of enemies and the power of your weapons make a big difference. You have easy, medium, hard, exterminatus. The game has wild difficulty swings, with you mowing down enemies for the first few levels and then hitting a wall at times. It doesn't help that they have these strange checkpoints at times that can lock you into a combat encounter when you don't have enough health or ammo, making backtracking far more difficult in certain situations. I played the game on medium, as well as easy and hard, just to get a different feel of the different difficulties. There were multiple times when I wish I could have just temporarily lowered the difficulty during a hard section, Unfortunately, you can only change the difficulty at the beginning of a level by exiting the game and then using the chapter select option, forcing you to play the entire map on a single difficulty. There are 3 chapters in the game with 8 maps each, making 24 levels in total. The AI in Boltgun isn't great. Enemies don't move much. They usually just stand still and shoot at you. But they also have nearly perfect aim. So if you want to duck behind something really quick because you're nearly dead, and then you want to pop out and occasionally shoot at them, you're going to take a hit. Boltgun is designed for running through quickly, not stopping for anything, and just smashing through anything that gets in your way. But counter to that, enemies either die very quickly or they're very spongy. Some of the large Chaos Marines can take a full clip of ammo, and they're often located in small areas where you can't dodge them very well. Overall, the combat in Boltgun is very fun, but can be frustrating at times. But the most frustrating thing about Boltgun is the where the hell do I go now maps. There isn't an overall map to guide you, or there's no markers to follow. Several of the maps do have rudimentary arrows that lead you forward at times, painted on the walls, but they're going to be few and far between. Often, the main way to the next area is tucked into a corner somewhere, requiring you to scour the map to look where you're supposed to go. It's a relic of the ancient past, something from the dark days of gaming. We often talk about how games handhold you now, taking away the discovery and motivation of players to figure out where to go next. You have things like way markers or maps, even dotted lines on the ground to show you exactly where to go, like Dead Space or Hogwarts Legacy. But as much as we make fun of those, there's a reason they're there. I would estimate that 20 to 25% of my playthrough was just me backtracking and moving in the same circles trying to find the exit. You may find a colored key that belongs to a corresponding door, but the door is near the beginning of the level and you have no idea how to get back there. It's a problem that I remember from Quake and Doom, something that fades away as you memorize the levels through replaying them. It's something that I had forgotten over the years since I last played those games, but the feeling came rushing back to me in Boltgun. So the story of Boltgun is incredibly simple. You take the role of a Space Marine, a genetically enhanced human warrior of the Ultramarines, and you have been tasked by the Inquisition to clear out the heretics from our planet. Technically, Boltgun is a sequel to Warhammer Space Marine, a game that I played a few years ago. But if you haven't played it, that's not a worry at all. The story of Boltgun doesn't need much inside knowledge of that game or the Warhammer 40K universe to follow. Years before, a bad person attacked this planet, and now the Inquisition is stopping another attack there. There's some kind of shard of power that would open up a gate to chaos to enter, and it's your job as a Space Marine to stop it. You drop to the planet in a pod and kill everything in sight. That's it. There isn't much lore of Warhammer 40k going on here. You can switch out the demons for Doom with Xenos and heretics without missing a beat. Rather than hell, it's the chaos. That's it. That's the story. And after each of the 8 maps, you go on to a new chapter and a new area to repeat the process. The audio is pretty good. Boltgun is filled with heavy rock music, loud guns, and the cries of the heretics as you purge them for the Emperor. In conclusion, Boltgun is pretty good if you're looking for a Doom-type game. It's exactly what they set out to do, and they do it perfectly. But if that isn't your cup of tea, Boltgun doesn't offer anything else than that. It does have some replayability if you want to find all the secret items in the maps, or you want to play them again on the harder difficulties. But there isn't anything like an end game or new missions offered. It's a perfect game to check out on Game Pass now, and I would strongly recommend you do so if the gameplay interests you. Thanks for watching, and again, make sure to like and subscribe for more content.